Welcome to As the Key Turns. I'm David Lehman, and this is a video about abject poverty in Guyana, the place that I live since I've retired. And hit the like button, will you? It really helps with the algorithm. Do it now before you forget, and by all means, subscribe if you want to hear more content like this. Let's look out my window. This is my window, where I see this every day. This is called abject poverty. These families out here are lucky to make $10,000 a year. And people love to say things like, oh, you're over there taking advantage of them. Yes, I'm taking advantage of them by buying things from them that they want to sell me. And what a terrible colonizer that is. I mean, people don't use common sense anymore. A colonizer, yeah. I'm a white guy living in a predominantly brown country. I mean, there are some white people here. I see them every now and then. You know, every few months I see one. Because I don't go into the big town anyway, Georgetown, which is where all the foreigners there are now doing the oil thing, because they made a deal with Guyana where they basically make 90% of the profit, and Guyana gives up all the oil for it. Because they hired local attorneys to do the deal, and they got cheated because, you know, ExxonMobil hires the best attorneys on the planet, and Guyana just can't keep up with it. They're local yokels. We're no match to them. And I'm pretty sure that there was a board meeting somewhere where the head guy laughed till he cried, you know, about what a deal that he got from these rubes. So anyway, we're talking about abject poverty. These families, for the most part, make less than $10,000 a year for an entire family. And case in point, I was invited to a wedding because everybody wants to invite strangers to their wedding, because the more people you have at your wedding, the more prestige you have, and weddings are the big thing of the social season around here, weddings. So some people just invited me there, and while I was sitting there, this guy walked up and goes, hey, you're an American, right? I said, yeah, I'm an American. And he said, let me ask you a question that Americans would know. I said, okay. He said, now I've heard about people that live in America, and some of them make as much as 10,000 US dollars a year. And I said, yep, I've heard of them people. He said, what the hell do they do with all that money? What do they spend it on? And I said, they just piss it away. Just piss it away. He said, that's what I've always suspected. They're just wasteful people, aren't they? I said, yes, Americans are very wasteful people. They're not like you. They don't squeeze every drop out of everything. My brother-in-law dug up the rails that the British left behind. Remember the colonizers, the people that took horrible advantage of these people? Well, when they left, the railroad went to shit, because these people don't know how to upkeep the thing. So the rails were then confiscated by the locals. My brother-in-law being one of them. He recently cut it up. Now, this railroad went away in the early 1980s, and he's been storing these things knowing that he's going to use these rails for something. And he had a trailer that rusted away quite a bit, so he welded on these railroad rails across it to help hold up things, because he moves whole houses, because these houses aren't that big and they're mostly made out of wood, and so he moves them using that stuff. And out of that he makes a decent living for here. And people here, probably 50% of the diet's rice, and then the other 50% is other things, you know, that mostly grown locally or by themselves. I mean, they grow their own food here. Medical stuff is almost non-existent. My wife cut her hand open pretty good one day. We went to the local medical clinic, and they said, well, we would fix it, but we don't have any sutures or anything. It's like, really? You're an emergency medical clinic and you don't have a suture? Right, but if you go and buy some, we could use them. So we had to go and purchase some damn where, way far away, bring them back, and then they sewed it in. And then later, when she wanted to have them removed, they couldn't do it, so I did it. I mean, it was like, God. They have almost nothing here. Now, what would happen if you have a heart attack or a stroke or something? I'll tell you what happened. Same thing happened to my father-in-law. They didn't even bother to take him to the hospital. They took him to the clinic. They said, oh, yeah, he's having a stroke, and you should take him way downtown. Take you an hour or so to get there. And, they might be able to do something. So they just took him home. Because, as everybody knows, you go to the hospital and you die. So they don't take him to the hospital because you die in the hospital. So he's buried out here, by the way. I can overlook the burial ground. They don't call it a cemetery here. I overlook the burial ground, and over there is where the Hindus burn up people and then throw their ashes into the ocean, because that's what you do when you're Hindu. We got Hindus, Muslims, Christians, just about anything that you can think of right here in Guyana. It's a true melting pot. About the only thing they're missing here is white people. They don't really have very many of them, although they do have some holdovers from the Portuguese administrations, which was way back in the 1600s. Chinese are here for the same reason, except for the roads and belt guys that built that road that's right out here in front of my house, that the Americans can't build because we want $1,000 a day to have a contractor, and the Chinese will work for a little bit less than that, and so we lose all the contracts because Americans won't work, not can't work. I mean, we're highly educated, right? We've got all them university degrees, but we can't apply it to anything in the real world that's beneficial to anyone. So that's why America's all going downhill, and I never see Americans here. I'm the only American here that's ever built anything in at least the last 10 years. I've been retired 12, so at least the last 10 years, because Americans don't build anything anymore. We don't do anything anymore. We just sit in our house and complain that we're poor, when poor is these people out here living off of less than $10,000 a year, living in wooden shacks that sometimes have power and sometimes have water. I have another video where I walk you through how it is that water is in my house, and how I built this 9,000 square foot masonry building that I live in. And how you could do it too is to watch some of my other videos, and I explain exactly how I ended up in this situation, where as a retiree that gets $35,000 from the government, why I'm living like a king in a country where people make less than $10,000 a family a year. Now, of course, you're going to hear, well, statistics say that the gross domestic product of Guyana is equal per person with those of France. Yes, that's true, but it's all concentrated in the oil industry, and most of it's going to ExxonMobil, and the little dregs that are left over only go to the upper echelon, like it does in America and every other country. It goes to the upper echelon. That's where the big bucks go. The average guy, hey man, if he can sell shoes to the big buck guy, that's getting all the oil money, that improves his life. Or if you're like me, the guy that bought all these blocks and paid for the concrete and the labor to make them doors that you see over there, and put the decorations on the wall that my wife likes, or build that ceiling that's probably worth $1 million in America, because that's green hardwood ceiling. The entire ceiling is like that in here. My entire ceiling is that way, and it would have made a wonderful floor, but here in Guyana they don't like wood floors, they like concrete floors and tiles, so that's what we put in because that's what my wife wanted. And I don't care, it's easy to keep clean. So the next time you're crying about, damn, we're so poor that we have to keep our baby in the box that the brand new television came in. Think about these people in the third world countries, and all you socialists, that are always talking about socialism. Worldwide socialism will bring down your income a lot, because this is average planet. You Americans, don't get out of your comfort zone. When you go to Europe, you think, well, I'm a world traveler. There's a lot of the world that you're not seeing in Asia, in Africa. And I don't mean, you know, we went on the safari in Kenya. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Central Africa. Okay, the places that you don't go, you know, the scary countries like Guyana. Somebody told me this was a scary country. I thought that was pretty humorous. Yes, there's crime rate here, pretty high. Use your head. Think of the place like prison. That's what I do. And I survive every day. Nothing's happened to me because I use the techniques that I learned in prison to keep myself safe wherever I go. And when I'm in the United States, I carry a gun wherever I go. Remember? It was the guy that got arrested and they seized his gun and stuff. Well, I learned from that instance. And you can too. So, thanks for watching. And hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. And by all means, subscribe. Promise it won't kill you. And you'll hear some other stuff from a 60-some-year-old guy who has a 60-some-year-old wife who was born in Guyana and was originally a subject of the crown until they got their independence. And now everything's gone to shit. And they've cut up the old railroad tracks to use it to fix my brother-in-law's trailer. If I can think of it, I'll get a picture of it and show you what he did with the rails. Pretty frugal on his part. He doesn't waste money because he doesn't have money to waste, unlike us, most Americans. And that's what's going on in our government right now. They're going through and sifting through all this nonsense because the government's attitude is, it doesn't matter. We got more money, we'll just print it and cause inflation. We don't care, not our money. And yeah, if we got to use 3 guys to do 1 guy's job, that's what they do. So, thanks for watching.